Here, for those of you that got nervous because you saw me on TikTok, you're not crazy. I just didn't want to forget to turn TikTok on live, so I just did it like a couple seconds early because I was sitting right here. But now we're here. I shall wait for everyone's arrival. And for those of you that are on TikTok right now, if you would like to see the slides, come to Twitch. And for everyone that is watching this on YouTube right now, this is going to get ripped fucking alive because we're watching so many clips from the Oprah show. So I just want you to know this is getting ripped alive. That's just going to be the case. Sorry. More motivation for everyone to show up live. I'll give people a few moments. Hi. Oh, here, I want to move you guys up a little bit. There we go. Was on TikTok first, lol. Beckworth, thanks for subscribing. You've been subscribed for 10 months. Also, if you enjoy these classes and you would like to support me in any way, there are two amazing ways to do that. One is to subscribe. Another one is to donate a few dollars via Venmo so that I can get a new computer. Maybe you can hear my computer that sounds like it's about to launch off into space. Fear not, everything's going to be okay, but it would be better if it could handle more things. So, Oprah! Oh, I just realized I wanted to include something and I forgot it. Damn it. So yeah, if you would like to donate to the cause of my new computer via Venmo, my Venmo is at redacted_parking-lot, or you can just scan the QR code that's right on your screen right now. And the only request I make is that you include the word gift, so that the IRS does not think that this is a business, because it is not. This is a gift. What are you going to do with your current computer? I'm going to keep it for like life things, if that makes sense. And like, I do some work that's like not this. Like I do like teachers pay teachers work sometimes, and sometimes I do like online marketing for other people. So I just think it'll be helpful to have a laptop on hand, but then, you know, just when I'm like traveling or whatever. So I'm going to keep it. But I want a desktop for this because a desktop you can hardwire everything in, and on a desktop we're like going to be less likely to have tech issues because I won't be using external cameras and mics and all that. Like the computer that I budgeted for, I can use what's on there, and like everything will just be, so it'll be like a lot more. I thought this was just an older desktop. No, this is a MacBook Pro. So if you have a MacBook Air, you probably are not able to stream. Thankfully, I got the Pro. I got this a couple years ago, and I got the Pro because I was into photography, and the Pro handles Photoshop better. Your background is so shimmery and pretty. Thank you. Also, if you haven't been here in a minute, I'm in my new house now. My favorite edition of the new house is the on the air sign. It was my grandfather's on the air sign. I'm very much obsessed with it. Also, I'm going to be doing a pink photo collage back here. I just haven't had time to do that. Also, what I was doing, which is why I didn't have time to do the photo collage, I meant to put mascara on and I forgot. Oh well. I was cleaning the tile. Go look at my Instagram if you're curious about the tile cleaning. But anyway, we've been here for 3 minutes and we should probably get started because we have a shit ton of slides and a lot of them are videos. Changed my username, a Dutch Bros parking lot, me on my 2015 MacBook fighting for my life. Oh my God. I've been catching up on previous classes this week and I'm so happy it's finally Wednesday again. I'm happy it's Wednesday as well. I made this entire stream deck today. So here are some pics of Oprah. I'm pretty proud of this graphic, even though the tape on fabric doesn't make sense. I thought it was just pretty. I guess I should have deleted the tape now that I think about it. So in case anyone has been living under a rock and doesn't know who Oprah is, Oprah Gayle Winfrey is an American talk show host, television producer, actress, author, and media proprietor. She is best known for her talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, broadcast from Chicago, which ran for 25 years, from 1986 to 2011. And she is dubbed as the Queen of all media, and she is the richest African American of the 20th century and was once the world's only Black billionaire. By 2007, she is often ranked as the most influential woman in the world. So if you don't know who Oprah is, that's like quite literally the shortest description we could possibly give you. Oh, for those of you on TikTok, if you want to see the pictures and the slides, you have to come to Twitch. Also, one thing, I know Twitch can be really intimidating, and people are like, oh, I don't want to download a new app, I don't want a new platform. You don't have to make a login if you just want to watch. So if you click the link in my link tree, it'll let you watch it. You just can't like comment and do things that you need an account to do. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to like download anything, you can just watch it like in a browser without making an account. So feel free to like give it a dabble. And even if you, and making an account is pretty easy as well. And it's free. A lot of people think that Twitch costs money to be on here, and it doesn't. It is free. Creators set up what they charge for. So, like, one thing you can set up is a subscriber only chat where you have to pay to be able to chat. Mine is set up so anyone can chat. So, I think that's why people think you have to pay, but you don't. At least on my page, you don't. But anyway, I love that Oprah's middle name is basically her best friend's name. Oh, y'all already motherfucking know we are going through the Oprah Gayle friendship timeline. Like, obviously we are going through that. Okay. So, me when we're eating the rich and we get to Oprah. So I'm so biased on this topic, it's not even funny. Like, Oprah, I watched her every single day. I loved the show, all of that. Sorry, I'm like so spacey today. I loved the show, and I know that Oprah's a billionaire and that we hate the billionaires, and I know that being a billionaire is inherently evil. But for some reason, I just can't get myself to hate Oprah. Like, I really do have so much disdain for billionaires, but I cannot bring myself to hate Oprah. We have not done a class on Ellen, and today I thought of that and I was like, oh, we absolutely need to do a class on Ellen. So Ellen is on my list. It won't be like this upcoming week, but Ellen's on the list for sure. I also want to do a Martha Stewart class. Both of those I think would be good. Everyone is allowed a guilty pleasure. Okay, so we're going to start with her birth. We're going to go into a lot of detail about her childhood, and I do want to put like a trigger warning on this. Oprah has been through a lot in her life, so we are going to talk about some heavy things, but I would say the overall tone of this stream is not super heavy. The beginning part where we talk about her childhood is, but it's not super, super heavy after that. So I just kind of want to give like kind of a vibe check for anyone wondering. So she was born to Vernetta Lee and Vernon Winfrey on an isolated farm in Kosciuszko. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Kosciuszko, Mississippi. This is in the game. Where was she born? And it's Mississippi. It's Mississippi. So in the game where it says, where's Oprah born? The answer is Mississippi. She was born on January 29th, 1954. The same year my dad was born. Her name was supposed to be Orpah, which is from the Bible, but because of the difficulty of spelling and pronunciation, she was known as Oprah from almost birth. I've seen a lot of different stories. Some people say that the nurse misspelled it. I've heard her say like, oh, my family wasn't very like proficient in reading and writing, so they misspelled it. Like, I've heard a variety of different things here, but her name was, I guess, supposed to be Orpah, and from some kind of mistake on someone's part, it was Oprah. Her parents were unmarried and they separated soon after she was born. Her mom was also a very, very young mother. I believe she was 19 when Oprah was born. So her parents separated and she was left in the care of her maternal grandmother on the farm. Maternal grandmother means your mom's mom. Her mother, who was born in 1935, so if Oprah was born in 54, is that 19? That sounds right. Her mother was a housemaid, and her biological father, like we said, is usually noted as Vernon Winfrey, a coal miner turned barber turned city councilman who was in the armed forces when she was born. However, a different guy, Noah Robertson Sr., has claimed to be her biological father, but I don't really know if there's any validity to that. So I do want to give historical context of the time that she was born. I debated including this in this much detail, but I decided I should include it because I watched a lot of interviews with her where she said, like, is there static in the background or something with the audio? It's probably my computer sounding like it's taking off to Neverland. Sorry about that. But anyway, Oprah has talked about in a lot of interviews that she is very much a product of the civil rights movement and how influential the civil rights movement was on her childhood. So I kind of wanted to go through a lot of the major events of the civil rights movement that happened when it's high-pitched. Interesting. Audio is good for me. I'm seeing more people say good than a problem, so I'm going to pretend everything's fine. So all these events are happening in her childhood, so I feel like she grew up in the South, so like she would be aware of a lot of this. She did move around a lot. Sounds good here. I can't hear that. Okay, awesome. It could be people's speakers or their Wi-Fi or whatever. She moved around some as a child, which we'll talk about. But since she has talked so much about how being a child during the civil rights movement impacted her, I felt like we needed to kind of talk about the civil rights movement because a lot of people don't know about these things. So she was born in, like we said, 1954, and the civil rights movement was happening during this time. So just to give some context of the civil rights movement, in 1948, President Harry Truman issued an executive order that ended segregation in the armed services, so just in the military. The chat on TikTok is being weird. So it ended segregation in the armed services, and then in 1954, Brown versus Board of Education, that's a Supreme Court case where the Supreme Court effectively ended racial segregation in public schools, but it took a while for this to take place. So it's not like on May 17th, 1954, like everyone clapped and then we had integration into schools. It took years and years and years and years. I taught Black history, and the civil rights movement and Black power movement were the best to teach about. Oh my God. So fun to teach about. So interesting. Never ever have enough time for it. Like every time I would teach both of those things, I would be like, we need like a month and a half to learn about this, and we have like 2 days. So then 1955, this is when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white man in Montgomery, Alabama on the bus, and that prompted the year-long Montgomery bus boycott. So again, at that point, Oprah had just been born. So like Oprah was literally born like right in the kind of height of the civil rights movement of the US. And then 57, 60 Black pastors and civil rights leaders from several southern states, including Martin Luther King Jr., meet in Atlanta, Georgia to coordinate nonviolent protests against racial discrimination and segregation. And then also in 57, the Little Rock Nine integrated a high school in Little Rock, Arkansas, and President Dwight D. Eisenhower eventually had to send federal troops to escort the students. However, they continued to be harassed. 57, Eisenhower signs the Civil Rights Act of 57, which helps protect voter rights, and the law allows federal prosecution of those who suppress another's right to vote. And then in 1960, Ruby Bridges is escorted by 4 federal armed marshals and is the first student to integrate in elementary school in New Orleans. So at that point, Oprah is 6 years old. So when things are happening kind of in media, in the news, people are talking about them, Oprah's aware of this at this point. She's 6 years old. She knows what's going on. Harley Elaine, thanks for having a 6-month streak. We love to see it. And then in 1961, this is when the Freedom Riders took bus trips through the American South to protest the segregated bus terminals, and they attempted to use whites-only restrooms and lunch counters. Horrific violence that these people faced, and most of them were teenagers. They were very young, and literally, like when I say we need to, like, honor the people that fought for our rights and fought for this country, that's who I'm talking about. Like, these are people that fight for rights. Like, that's what this was. And then 63, Governor George C. Wallace stands in a doorway at the University of Alabama to block 2 Black students from registering, and the standoff continues until the National Guard is sent into campus. Also in 63 was the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. That's when MLK gave the I Have a Dream speech. And then 1964 is when Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, which prevented employment discrimination due to race, color, sex, religion, or national origin. And then we also, as a country, established the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to help prevent workplace discrimination. So, a lot of stuff, but I just kind of wanted you to see that during Oprah's formative years, Mike's toes, during Oprah's formative years was like the height of the civil rights movement. So I think that really kind of helped shape her and her mindset and what she believed and like the injustice she saw and the people's willingness to fight that she saw. I think like just being a kid during that time, it would really impact who you were as a person, especially if you're a person of color in the South. So let's talk about childhood Oprah. So after Oprah Winfrey's birth, her mother traveled north. This was also extremely common. A lot of people, particularly African-American people, were leaving the South and going north for economic opportunity. This really happened for like almost 100 years, really from after the Civil War to like after World War II was kind of the time that that was going on. Just because there were more jobs available in the North and the racial discrimination was not as bad. It was still pretty bad, but it was not as bad. So her mother traveled north, and Oprah was with her grandmother living in poverty until she was 6. Well, she lived in poverty after that, but she was with her grandmother until she was 6. Her grandma's name was Hattie Mae Presley, and she was born in 1900. So imagine being born in 1900. Like, this woman has seen some shit. So Hattie Mae, let's talk about some things that Hattie Mae has seen. She's seen World War One. She's seen the pandemic of 1918. She has seen the Great Depression. She has seen World War II. Like, she has quite literally been through a lot. And I didn't even begin to talk about racism. Like, and obviously she's been through racism. She's a black woman in 1900 in Mississippi. That could not have been a super like rah loving experience for her. So I always kind of like to think about, I think that we are impacted by our parents and our grandparents' childhoods a lot more than we think about or want to admit. So I think it's really important when you have like a super famous person or any person to see like, all right, what did the people that raised you go through? What was their perspective on things? What had they been through? I think it can kind of give a lot of insight into who someone is. So her grandmother was so poor that Oprah often wore dresses made of potato sacks, and other children would make fun of her for that. And she, as a child, would entertain herself by play acting in front of an audience on a farm. So she would like set up little like dolls and pieces of corn and just like little random objects she could find into like an audience. And then she would like put them against the fence or like against a wall. And then she would like speak and talk to them and like pretend to be on stage and like kind of entertain them, I guess. So under the strict guidance of her grandmother, she learned to read at only 2.5 years old, which is like actually so bananas that she learned to read at 2.5 years old. And again, that's why I brought up, like, let's think about what her grandmother has been through. Her grandmother probably, I'm guessing, like this is just an inference, her grandmother probably saw the difference in like people's economic opportunity when they could read versus when they couldn't read. And so I'm sure that was a really big priority to her, because I'm sure being a black woman that was born in 1900 in Mississippi, she interacted with a lot of people that were like lacking access to education and saw how that impacted them in their life. So I think like, do you see what I mean? I just think it's really interesting to compare like the choices someone made to like the time they grew up in and try and like draw links between those things. We're saying go grandma, but grandma did a lot of not great stuff that we're going to get into. But I'm saying grandma's like a complicated woman in her own right. So she learned to read at 2.5, and she addressed her church congregation. This is another question on the game. Where did she first public speak? Church. She addressed her church congregation about when Jesus rose on Easter Day when she was only 2 years old. So from a very, very young age, she liked speaking in front of people. That was something she was skilled in. It was something she enjoyed, and it was something that was encouraged by the adults around her, it appears. And then Winfrey skipped kindergarten because she wrote a note to her teacher on the first day of school saying that she belonged in the first grade. And so she got moved to first grade. And then apparently after first grade, she got moved to third grade. So she like skipped grades pretty quickly, because if you've been reading for a couple years already, like kindergarten's not going to challenge you. Oh my God, Fraz woke Jay up for class. Tell your baby to wake up. Tell your baby to wake up. It's time to learn about Oprah. So Oprah walking into kindergarten and seeing that the other kids didn't know how to read. Like, imagine that. Because like Oprah's probably reading like books at this point. She's been reading for like 3 years, and these other kids have never read a day in their life. Be serious. Be serious. The girl boss already. Yeah, for real. Like the energy to, as a 5-year-old, write a note to your teacher and be like, you know I'm ahead of this. I know I'm ahead of this. Like, let's stop kidding each other. Let's get me in first grade. And then slaying first grade so hard that they put you in third grade? Like, okay. Was it still segregated when she was in kindergarten? So I couldn't find like a definitive yes, but we're going to talk about how she was one of the students chosen to go to the all-white school because of like academic achievement. So I think even though it was not... segregation was in like kind of a gray area this time. So it's like it depends how you define like legally segregated versus illegally segregated. It seems like she was going to an all black school until she was in high school, which is when she switched schools, which is what we'll talk about in a little bit. So she's slaying school super hard from day one, literally. Here are some pictures of her as a child. I literally thought these were the cutest things ever. Like, look at her. I just want to like give her a hug. She's so cute. Like this picture of her like laughing in front of the porch. Also, I found a picture of her wearing sunglasses where she looked so sassy and so cute, but I could not find any verified thing saying that it was her. I could only find the picture on like Pinterest and shit like that. So I didn't include it because I felt like it might not be her and people were just like fangirling a little too hard. Who said Oprah is the billionaire you would eat last? I was drooling on my phone. The top right picture is so cute. I know, right? She kind of looks like the top right picture reminds me of this little girl I used to teach when I taught at daycare. And the day we did picture day, she literally made that exact same face. She was so displeased with having her picture taken. And every picture, she's like, it was a little bit funny. The bottom left picture says, I can read and you can't. Stop. The way you're right. And then I believe this is her mother that she's photographed with right here. Look at her. So cute. So more on her grandmother. So when Oprah was a child, her grandmother was reportedly abusive. Oprah Winfrey has opened up. Also, trigger warning, not good. It's not good. I don't get super graphic, but it's not good. She's opened up in further detail about the abuse that she suffered as a child, speaking candidly about how her grandmother would whoop her regularly and for the slightest reasons, and how that turned her into a world-class people pleaser who had trouble setting boundaries well into adulthood. As a young girl, I was whooped regularly, she wrote. At the time, it was an accepted practice of punishment to discipline a child. My grandmother, Hattie Mae, embraced it, but even at 3 years old, I knew what I was experiencing was wrong. I was beaten for the slightest reasons: spilled water, a broken glass, the inability to keep quiet or still. My grandmother's home was a place where children were seen and not heard. I think that Oprah had like an experience that is very common of people that grew up in this area at this time, and not even just in this area, honestly, people that grew up at this time. I think that this was a lot more normal than kind of what we see today. I'm not saying that makes it okay by any means. I'm just saying I think that when Oprah has spoken about these things and how they've impacted her, I think it's really validating for a lot of people because a lot of people in her same like age range experience the exact same thing from their family members, which is really sad. And honestly, like I really told myself I wasn't going to cry on stream again, but I definitely am. What was I going to say? The thought of hitting a toddler for them spilling water, like literally like rips my heart out. Like I cannot, and like I have worked with toddlers and they're literally so annoying. Like they spill everything and it's so frustrating. And like I've been mad at them, but I can't imagine like hitting them for that. Like that is so crazy. Like I can imagine getting mad and like yelling and like losing your temper. I can definitely see where you can get there, but I can't imagine hitting a literal toddler for spilling something. Because like A, they do it all the fucking time. Like they're not really known for their dexterity skills. And B, they get stressed out at stuff like that. Like you really don't even need to punish them because they freak the fuck out about everything. So like they're punishing themselves enough. Fraz, my baby has never done anything wrong in her life. Your baby's an emoji. Like, I really feel like babies are emojis. Like, they're so expressive and they're little and they just kind of like roll about making these little faces. It's like when an emoji came to life. It's so confusing as a child to get hit for something like dropping water. My mom would throw anything near me at the slightest mess up. She said her mother and father were only together for the afternoon that they made her. She said she only has one memory of her mom and dad being like in the same room with each other. And I also wanted to talk about like abuse, and especially physical abuse a lot of times happens in a cycle. And apparently her grandmother had also been abused by the grandfather, like her spouse, not the grandmother's grandfather, I don't think. So here's a picture that I did find of her grandmother. And again, like it's not okay that she did these things to Oprah, but I am going to acknowledge that like she was a complicated woman in her own right that had been through a lot, and that doing this to a child was extremely normal at that time. Again, doesn't make it okay, just I think is important context. The fact that a 3-year-old knew it was wrong. Well, it's not any 3-year-old, it's Oprah. So the talk show host, trigger warning, this part's a little bit graphic. The talk show host got emotional while discussing injuries she'd had in the wake of a beating. Later, when I put my clothes on to go to church, one of the welts on my back opened up and bloodied the dress. So my emotion now is not because I feel such deep pain about it, but because I feel pain for that little girl. Also, trigger warning, Dr. Oz. In the exchange with Dr. Oz, Oprah painted a broader picture of her upbringing in rural Mississippi, noting how her grandmother was facing her own abuse at the hands of Oprah's grandfather and how she still has a lingering trauma about sleeping. My grandmother and I slept in the bed together. My grandfather was in the room on the other side of the wall, and one night in the middle of the night, my grandfather gets out of bed and comes into the room, and I wake up and he has his hands around my grandmother's neck and she is screaming. She manages to push him off of her and step over him. He falls. She steps over him and runs to the door. I run out of the bed with her. Oprah said that her grandmother began to call out for a family friend. They called Cousin Henry, who lived nearby. Cousin Henry comes down the road in the middle of the night and helped my grandmother get my grandfather up off the floor. She recalled choking up as she admitted it was the first time she was publicly telling the story. And after that, my grandmother put a chair underneath the doorknob and sometimes tin cans around the chair. And that's how we slept every night. I'm sleeping. I always slept listening for the cans, listening for what happens if that doorknob moves. So, yeah. Her childhood was like not really the best vibes I've seen in my entire life. Pretty rough. And this just really makes me think. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by TikTok. That's why I don't like to put it on there. This just keeps making me think about like the generational pain and trauma of women because like yes, Oprah was abused by her family members, but I'm sure her family members were also abused and then like just when you think about generationally, especially for people of color living in the United States, it like abuse and trauma is in such recent history and just like the way that people like carry that with them and how it affects them, I think is just incredibly sad. And it's like so hard to fix it. You know what I mean? I just got done crying in therapy and now I gotta cry again. I don't know, it's an emotional night. It's not going to be heavy for a ton longer though. We're going to talk about her childhood and then we kind of focus on like her career and like some cool inspiring stuff. So after her grandmother died, Oprah was shuttled between her mother in Milwaukee and her father in Nashville. So at the age of 6, she moves to an inner city neighborhood in Milwaukee with her mother. Her mother was less supportive and encouraging than her grandmother had been. So even though, like I said, even though her grandmother like was beating her, which was like the discipline of the time, her grandmother was having her speak at church. Her grandmother was very encouraging towards that. Her grandmother had taught her how to read. Her grandmother like was encouraging the play acting thing that she would do. So I think like despite this woman's complicatedness and her faults, I think that she did like in a way was very progressive for the time of like investing that kind of energy into a child's passions and like building their self-esteem and their skills. I don't know, especially a time where people, again, like it said, children were supposed to be seen and not heard. So the fact that she like cared like that to teach her all these things, I think says a lot. We all crowed together. Has anyone seen the TikTok about people with interesting R pronunciations? Because Miss Redacted definitely says her R's like that. I'm glad it's a TikTok because someone randomly commented on my video and said, I heard a hard R. And I thought they were referring to the N-word. And I was like, I literally, what are you talking about? Like, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? The Kourtney Kardashian R. I literally, like, I was like, what? Like, what are you referring to? I was like, what do you know that I don't? Like, what? Like, okay. So anyway, back to Oprah. Her mother was less than supportive and encouraging of her, but also keep in mind her and her grandmother were on a farm, so they were together, and her mom was working as a maid, so she was gone for very long hours. Oprah said, when I went to live with my mother at 6 years old, I did not feel welcome. This literally breaks my heart, just like trigger warning, my heart is in 1,000 pieces. The night I arrived in Milwaukee, also trigger warning, racism. The night I arrived in Milwaukee, the woman my mother was boarding with, Miss Miller, took one look at me and said, she'll have to sleep on the porch. Miss Miller was light-skinned. She could almost pass for white, and she was not going to have this racial insult, dark child, stay in the house, she wrote. But while one might naturally hope their own mother would advocate for them, Oprah's did not. My mother said, "All right," and as I watched my mother close the house door to go to bed, I thought where I'd sleep was consumed. I thought where I closed the house to the door to go to the bed where I thought I'd sleep, I was consumed with the terrified sense of loneliness that brought me to tears. Like, she was 6. She was 6. And her mom literally just shut the door and was like, okay, I guess she can't sleep inside. Like, I know her mom had been through stuff, but like, that's fucked up. Like, I'll just say that. That's really fucked up. I don't know how anyone does that. Told you we'd be crying. And Oprah, again, still continuing to cry. I imagined a robber snatching me from the porch or somehow breaking through the windows and choking me. That first night, I got on my knees and prayed to God to send angels to protect me. He did. That was my first lesson in learning that other people, even your mother, can disappoint you, but God doesn't. I'm not religious, but like, same. Like, that's like, this is why people that are religious, I'm like, rock on, because I don't know what the fuck you've been through. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. But having a child you don't want and telling the child that, this is so stressful. So living with her mother continued to be difficult, and Oprah does not describe her as a particularly warm person. She said, my mother worked as a maid for $50 a week, doing what she could to care for 3 young children. There was no time for nurturing. My mother felt distant and cold to the needs of this little girl. All of the energy went to keeping her head above water and surviving. I always felt like a burden, an extra mouth to feed. I rarely remember feeling loved, which has impacted my ability to experience love as an adult. Oprah has spoken about her difficult relationship with her mother before, once revealing that she chose to never have children because I wasn't mothered well, which I think is really sad, but also in a way kind of noble, because I think like breaking cycles of abuse is so, so hard. And I think it's like a very valid choice to be like, it's hard to break cycles of abuse and I don't want to do that labor. So I'm just not going to have children because no. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hard thing to do that I really respect someone for making that decision. I promise it'll get happier later. It gets worse at first, though. So around the time that Oprah moved in with her mom had also given birth to another daughter, Oprah Winfrey's half-sister, Patricia. And then by 1962, her mom was having a hard time raising both daughters. So Oprah was sent to live with her dad in Nashville, Tennessee. While Oprah was in Nashville, her mom gave birth to a third daughter who was put up for adoption because of the financial strain and was also named Patricia later on. I'm assuming the adoptive parents named her Patricia. Winfrey actually did not know that she had a second half sister until 2010, and because by the time she moved back in with her mother had already given her up for adoption and had also given birth to a half brother, Jeffrey. So Oprah does have a fair amount of Patricia is too normal of a name. Oprah has a fair amount of siblings, and I think like the fact that she has siblings that she didn't know about, I think says a lot about like the kind of relationship of her family and like the lack of love and communication within her family. Tabloids broke that news. Yeah. So a little after, like we said, a little over a year after Oprah was sent to live with her mother, she got sent to live with her father back down in Nashville. And she had a stepmother, and they were happy to have the 7-year-old living with them because apparently they could not have children of their own. And Oprah could enjoy the experience of having her very own bed and bedroom. I am wondering why this wasn't done sooner. I guess it's very difficult to give up your child, but I don't know. Like, it seems like her mom was having a really hard time. I would have like done that earlier. I'd have been like, your dad wants you and has a bed and a house and all that. Great. I'm very much struggling. That kind of seems like logical, but I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not going to judge. So Oprah was enrolled in Wharton Elementary School and allowed to skip a grade once again. Like we already said, this is when she skipped into 3rd grade. The 3rd grader was thrilled that her parents took her to the library and valued her education, and the family attended church regularly, and Oprah was found even more opportunities for public speaking. So Oprah has always been a gifted speaker, even when she was in elementary school. Like when she was really little with her grandma, she was public speaking, and then when she's with her dad, she's doing it again, always in a church at this point. Then after completing 3rd grade, Vernon took his daughter back to Milwaukee to visit her mother. And in the time since Oprah had left, Oprah's mom, Vernetta, had given birth to a baby boy named Jeffrey, like we said, and the 3 children shared a room in the family's 2-bedroom apartment. So then I guess her dad brought her there for the summer, and then he returned in the fall to take her back to Nashville, but she chose to stay with her mother and began the 4th grade in Milwaukee. And in her mother's absence, Oprah turned to television for company, and that's when she had her thoughts of being famous one day. So I guess Oprah did make the decision to stay with her mom, nothing like a mother's love, even though it seems like her dad's was kind of a better situation at the time. But again, children be doing children things. So trigger warning, abuse, assault, all of those things. I tried to not make this super, super graphic, but Oprah has talked about it pretty extensively. So obviously, if it's an important part of her life, which it clearly is, we're going to talk about it here. So Oprah was 9 years old when she was first sexually abused. She was babysitting Renetta's children, and then her 19-year-old cousin raped her and then took her out for ice cream and told her to keep it a secret, which this is a very, very common abuse pattern for someone to engage in a harmful behavior and then give some kind of gift or reward and then show a lot of affection and say it's like a secret. The episode when she was surprised by her teacher, Miss Duncan, was epic. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to include that. There's when I was picking clips for this, I was like, I literally just want to watch every episode. I feel like we need to watch every episode. So within the next few years, Oprah would face more abuse from a family friend as well as an uncle. She kept silent about it for years, and she stated that when she was molested by her cousin, uncle, or family friend starting when she was 9 years old. She first announced this in 1986 on an episode of her TV show regarding sexual abuse. And a biographer alleges that when she discussed the abuse with her family members when Oprah was 24, they refused to believe her account. So it seems like she was silent about it, and then when she tried to tell her family, no one really believed her, and then she didn't talk about it again, and then talked about it on her show, from at least in public of her talking about it. I don't know what people do in private. So she was being sexually abused by multiple people, and which is horrifying, as if she hasn't been through enough. So she was unable to seek help or confide in anyone, so she acted out by becoming very rebellious. This is also very, very common of abuse victims, to act out and become very rebellious. She was fighting with her mother, staying out all night, and being wild, as she puts it. She described her behavior at the time as promiscuous, not understanding that she could set boundaries over her own body. Again, extremely, extremely common of people that have experienced sexual abuse to then become very promiscuous because of lots of reasons, but that's a very common pattern you see people engage in. I know this is really depressing, but it's going to get inspiring soon, I promise. But you have to understand where she came from for it to be the full story. I'm taking you all on the emotional journey that I went on when I spent 4 hours on these slides this week. So young Oprah also did not understand the consequences of being sexually active. She did not have the health education, I guess. So as a result, she became pregnant at age 14. Her mother's first reaction was to take her to a girls' detention home. So I guess that's not jail, but kind of. And Oprah said, I remember having a moment thinking, now I am officially a bad girl, and thinking to myself, waiting to be processed, I really don't belong here. That must be a horrible feeling. And at 14, your brain cannot fucking handle that. Your brain really cannot handle that. So as luck would have it, the home did not actually have room for her. And so her mom was like, you're just going to go live with your dad again because I can't handle this and I can't do this. So yeah, they were full, and she goes to live back with her dad. So she was afraid to reveal her condition to her father, which super valid. I would also be really afraid. So she hid her pregnancy until the swollen ankles and the belly gave her away. So Oprah wrote in a 2007 issue of O Magazine that the same day she told her dad the truth, she went into labor. So she must have been pretty far along. And the baby boy that she had, I was going to say, I don't know how to explain this. I'm just going to read it. The baby boy that she had died within a week, never having left the hospital or never having been held by his mother. So I don't know if he was stillborn or what the situation was, but her child did not survive. And being so young, Oprah really didn't understand what happened, or she said she didn't really feel a connection to the baby at the time. I can see that, where you wouldn't feel connected because you haven't told anyone that you're pregnant. You've been keeping it a secret. Like, you've been through all this trauma. Like, I can see you're 14. Like, your brain cannot handle this. So I can see where your brain would just kind of shut down and be like, okay, and like not have a reaction. Um, but her father, who was a former military member, knew that his daughter now had more options than if she had been a teen mom. And Oprah said, "When that child died, my father said to me, 'This is your second chance. This is your opportunity to seize this moment and make something out of your life.' And I took that chance, and I understood for myself that now I know better, so I can do better." I think, okay, oh, a quick trip parking lot said it best. Imagine the guilt for how relieved you'd feel. I think that's the perfect way to explain this. I think this is so complicated and so layered, and I think that no one should ever judge anyone for the feelings they have after an event like this, because I think it's so personal and so complicated that, like, there's no wrong way to feel after something like this happens. And I completely get what you mean. Like, you'd feel guilt for feeling the way you would feel. And I think it's just such a difficult thing. And I can't imagine to go through that at only 14 years old. Like, when I was 14, I was just like depressed on tumblr.com. Like, I had no fucking problems. Like, imagine going through this at 14. Horrifying. Winfrey later said she felt very betrayed by the family member who had sold her story of her son to the National Enquirer in 1990. One thing about Oprah's life is that her family has fucked her over. A lot of times. A lot of times. So Oprah's education, this is a little bit of a mixed timeline because we already talked about how she was bouncing between the mom and the dad. So we're going to kind of go back and talk about her education while all that was happening. So Jean Abrams, one of Oprah's teachers at Lincoln Middle School in downtown Milwaukee, took notice of her love for reading and helped her transfer to an all-white school in Glendale, Wisconsin. One might expect that being at the only African-American student at Nicollet High School was not easy. However, Oprah said that in 1968, it was really hip to know a black person, so I was very popular. I wasn't there, but like, that does not, from other people's stories I've heard, that does not seem like a common experience. So guess I'm glad she had that W. But like, I don't know. I've talked to multiple people who were the only person of color in a white school during this time, and that doesn't seem like the usual vibe. I'm just gonna say, because so when I taught the civil rights movement, I had like two people record video interviews, and one of them was my mom's friend, who was the only black guy in their high school, and then I also talked to my dad, who was born in 54, about when his school integrated. Side story, the way my dad's school did it was really interesting. They did the teachers first, and then they did the kids 2 years later, and it was like a kind of like an integration success story, how well it went, and I think it's because they did the teachers first. But yeah. Her glass half full attitude, literally. Okay, so upon transferring, she said she was continually reminded of her poverty as she rode the bus to school with fellow African Americans, some of whom were the servants of her classmates' families. So she began to rebel and steal money from her mother in an effort to keep up with her free spending peers. And then she went to go live with her dad in Nashville. We already talked about this. This is, I think, when she went to go live with her dad when she became pregnant. So what I found interesting about this is her dad, Vernon, was strict but encouraging and made her education a priority. Winfrey became an honor student, was voted the most popular girl, joined her high school speech team at East Nashville High School, placing second in the nation for dramatic interpretation. So from everything I'm seeing, it seems like she is in a much healthier and better environment when she's with her father. It seems like her dad is very, very encouraging of her education. Her dad is very encouraging of her education and all of these things. You know what I mean? It just seems like her dad is a much better situation. So Winfrey has said that her father saved her life. Even though he was very strict, he provided her with guidance, structure, rules, and books. Kids love structure. They say they hate structure, but they actually love it. He required his daughter to complete weekly book reports, and she went without dinner until she learned 5 new vocabulary words each day. Little intense, but go off. She became an excellent student, participating in drama club, debate club, student council. She was even selected to attend the 1971 White House Conference on Youth in Colorado. She represented Tennessee along with one other student. So she's literally crushing high school. Like, she is crushing high school at this point. Upon her return from this conference in Nashville, the Nashville WVOL radio station requested to interview her. And this led to another opportunity when the station asked her to represent them in the Miss Fire Prevention Beauty Pageant, and she became the first African American to win the pageant. Her firsthand experience in journalism would come from this same radio station. After the beauty pageant, she accepted an offer to hear her voice on tape. The vivacious teenager was no stranger to public speaking, like we've said, and at just 17 years old, she finished out her senior year while she was working part-time at this radio station. And she had secured a full scholarship from one of, I can't remember what it was. It was one of her competition, like, debate things. She had secured a full college scholarship, and she attended Tennessee State University and was crowned Miss Black Tennessee at 18. So literally crushing it. Like, she's in her crushing it era. It started at age like 15 and then has continued for the rest of her life, it appears, is her crushing it era. Also, here are some pictures of her as a teenager. For those of you on TikTok, you have to come... for those of you on TikTok, you have to come to Twitch to see the photos. Thanks, peace and blessings. But yeah, there's her in the beauty pageant. I think this is the fire one, and then this is the Miss Black Tennessee. I wonder what her astrology looked like at this time. Oh my god, this is why I love my followers. This is a great case study for how important the environment is for a child's development, right? Like, just the difference between her living with her mom and living with her dad is really astonishing. We're going to watch a lot of videos today. Today's going to be a long stream, just to let y'all know. So this is her audition for the Miss Fire Prevention pageant. This is in 1971. She does look confident. That's the word. So we're not going to watch the whole thing, but that's her audition when she is a teenager. Miss Fire Prevention. How random of a pageant. Listen, we all have our first things. We all have our first little things. Miss Fire Prevention pageant is better than any of us are doing. So Winfrey became Miss Black Nashville and Miss Tennessee, like we said, in her first freshman year at Tennessee State. The Nashville Columbia Broadcasting System, CBS, affiliate offered her a job. Oprah Winfrey turned it down twice, but finally took the advice of her speech professor, who reminded her that job offers from CBS are the reason that people go to college. So her professor was like, "This girl, stop turning down these fucking job offers. People go to college to get job offers," because she kept turning them down. And she was like, "No, I'm in college. I can't do that." And her professor was like, "Fuck that shit. Take that job." And the show was seen each evening on WTVF TV, and Winfrey was Nashville's first African-American female co-anchor of the evening news. She was 19 years old and still a sophomore in college. Like, to be 19 and already breaking barriers like this, incredible. So working in local media, like we said, she was the first female Black news anchor there, and she often covered the same stories as John Tesh, who worked at a competing station. In 1976, she moved to Baltimore to co-anchor the 6 o'clock news. And then in 1977, she was removed as co-anchor and worked in lower profile positions at the station. We're going to watch an interview where she talks about getting demoted and how it was the best thing for her. Actually, I think that's next. I want to watch that right now. Is it? No, we'll watch all the videos together. I'm going to read and then we'll watch. Sorry. She's about to meet Gayle. I love their friendship. So we're not going to talk, like, Gayle is at the end. Like, I go through Oprah and then I go through her timeline with Gayle and her timeline with Stedman. So don't think that we're skipping Gayle when you don't hear about her right now. Just Hang on. Okay, so after she got like demoted, she was then recruited to join Richard Gere as a co-host of a local talk show called People Are Talking, which premiered August 14th, 1978, and then she hosted a local version of Dialing for Dollars. She then relocated to Chicago to host a half-hour morning talk show called AM Chicago. In the game, it says, when did she host a talk show? Or what was the name of it? It's AM Chicago. AM Chicago. That's the answer in the game. AM Chicago. So after being hired by that station's general manager, the first episode aired January 2nd, 1984. Within months after Oprah Winfrey taking over the show went from last place in the ratings to overtaking the highest rating talk show in Chicago. So again, Oprah is in her crushing it era. Let's watch some clips from this time. This is when she was a news anchor in Chicago. This is 1984.
Police are still attempting to identify the body of a young man who was found stabbed to death in a suspected partially clothed, leading police to suspect a homosexual murder. The Solar Max satellite is back in orbit today and back in the business of watching tomorrow morning, Chicago time. And you can watch that landing live right here on Channel 7. Well, rain or no rain, the fishing's apparently fine. Frank Matthew has a live report.
Okay, so it's just like some random clips of her, but I just kind of wanted to show you the vibe at this time. Yeah, that's the other thing where they said, like, the homosexual motive of this crime. There's a lot of things that don't age well. Because keep in mind, at the end of the day, even though it's Oprah, it is the news in the 80s. So, okay, so this is where she says being fired led her to her first talk show job.
So when you went to Baltimore, you went initially to be an anchor woman, mm-hmm. And then it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I got fired.
Well,
got demoted.
They got demoted, but they didn't. They had a contract, so they didn't say goodbye. Yeah. And then, how did you work out to be on a afternoon show where you actually got to be an interviewer? How did that actually happen?
Well, what happened was this is what I now know with age and perspective, that many times getting demoted is an opportunity for something else to show up, or getting fired. You know, lots of people I've interviewed over the years have these stories about the best thing that ever happened to you. It puts you in the next best place. I was not a good television reporter. I was too emotional. I would go out on the stories and, you know, then try to take blankets back to the people.
But you were also very young. You were 21,
yes,
22.
Yes, and I was very also empathetic, and I was always getting written up for getting myself involved in other people's business. And so I was making $22,000.
I was watching a different interview where she was talking about how when she was like doing news stories at this age, she kept getting in trouble because she would like go to the scene of horrible events like a fire and people would be crying and she like wouldn't make them be on camera. Like she would just hug them and talk to them and she'd be like, no, we don't have to be on camera. It's okay. You just lost your child. And she would always get in trouble for not pressuring people to go on camera.
A year. And my best friend Gayle, who I met there at the time, she was also working there. And she said, oh my God, you're 22, making $22,000. Imagine when you're 25. And then you're 30. So I'd be making 60 about now. It'd be good, 62. And glad that didn't work out. Yeah. But once I got demoted,
Gayle.
They didn't want to pay out my contract. I was making $25,000 a year. They didn't want to pay me the $25,000, right. So they kept me on and said, "We'll put you on this talk show just to run out your contract."
So that's kind of how she got into the talk show thing, because she got demoted. And I love, 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 love that story, because I think it's really easy when you have things like that happen to you to look at it as a really bad thing. But like she said, sometimes it's leading you into the right thing, which I think is just a really good thing for everyone to keep in mind. Here is a promo of the AM Chicago show. Again, in the game, it's going to ask you about her talk show. It's AM Chicago. So here's a promo from it. This, like, I want this to be what wakes me up in the morning. I want this to be the alarm that wakes me up every day.
Everybody loves Oprah.
You mean me?
She's fun, she's hip, she's really got her style.
Say that a little louder,
AM Chicago, start your day out with a smile.
new hour of AM Chicago, weekdays at 9.
Everybody loves Oprah.
That's literally the only thing I care about. That's it. That's the full list. Here are some pictures of her from her early TV days. Ah, she's literally crushing it. This picture of her on the top right, I love, 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 love. I got demoted from customer service to cashier, so I became a teacher, and now I'm a therapist. See? Exactly. Exactly. So, also another thing that happened in her career at this time, in 1985, she was in The Color Purple. The Color Purple is a very important movie that I've never seen. So, Winfrey's profile was given a considerable boost when she took on a sizable role in Steven Spielberg's Oscar-nominated drama The Color Purple, based on the novel by Alice Walker. She was nominated for an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, in her performance, but unfortunately she did not win either of those. I should watch this. When you're on a talk show just to run out a contract and they give you a theme song like that. Exactly. Like, they were like, Oprah, we don't like you. We're going to put you on this talk show that no one watches, and that's fine. And then she was like, oh, okay. The talk show becomes #1, and they write a song called Everybody Loves Oprah. Incredible. How old is she at this point? She was born in 54, so let me do some quick maths. She's 31 at this point. So 31, young in her career, in her moment, you know, all of that. And I was watching an interview where she was talking about being in The Color Purple and how she had never ever done like acting. She had only done like news and talk shows and like speaking about the Bible and things like that. So she said her first day on set, she was like talking into the camera. So like her co-star would be right here. I don't know the characters. I've never seen or read this, but she would be like, hi. And the director was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, look at the person you're talking to. Like, stop looking at the camera. It is a big jump in career moves. But keep in mind, by this point, in 1985, she already has an extremely, extremely, extremely successful talk show in a major city. So it's not crazy that she got hired to be in this movie with like no acting experience, because she was already famous. And like the director seems to apparently like she was like the perfect for the vibe because he knew her and her voice and she was so widely liked. I do need to watch The Color Purple. That's my problem, is that I've never seen anything. All I watch is like bullshit. So the movie critic Roger Ebert persuaded her to sign a syndication deal with King World. Ebert predicted that she would generate 40 times as much revenue on his television show at the movies. It was then renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show and expanded to a full hour. The first episode was broadcast nationwide on September 8th, 1986. Side note from her college career, she did not deliver her final paper and receive her degree until 1987. By this time, again, we already know she's an extremely successful TV personality. I think that one thing I really used to believe is that like you have to like turn 18 and go to college, and you go to college right then. And I think that Oprah was very wise to do her college a little bit at a time and prioritize her career, because I think that when you have a moment to be famous and you have an opportunity, you have to kind of take it. And I think that she really did do that. Which I really respect. And she did still graduate college, just not until 87, which is totally fine because she was working. And she also talked about how when she filmed The Color Purple, she was like having to request off from work to go do that because she was still working like that. Me trying to keep my loans from entering repayment. So Winfrey's syndicated show brought in double Donahue's national audience. Apparently Donahue was the #1 daytime talk show host. Not anymore, it's Oprah. I don't even know who that is. Their much publicized contest was the subject of enormous scrutiny, according to Time magazine, August 1988. Few people would have bet on Oprah Winfrey's swift rise to host the most popular talk show on TV in a field dominated by white males. She was a black female. And as interviewers go, she was no match for, say, Phil Donahue. What she lacks in journalistic toughness, she makes for in plain-spoken curiosity, robust humor, and above all, empathy. This is from Time magazine. I skipped a part where they talked about her weight because I don't give a shit. And again, this is from Time magazine in the 80s. Guests with sad stories to tell are apt to rouse a tear from Oprah's eye. They, in turn, often find themselves revealing things that they would not imagine telling anyone, much less a national TV audience. It's as if it's the talk show as a group therapy session. So that's why people really like her, is because even though she doesn't ask maybe like the super hard-hitting journalistic questions, and she doesn't like the gotcha questions, and she doesn't do all this research behind it. She just has a way of making people feel really comfortable that leads to a very vulnerable interview that people like to watch. And that's what I think, like, there's lots of different ways to be successful. And I think it's really cool that she's like kind of a little different than the other talk show hosts at the time. This is an early interview after the success of her show. This is in 1986. Some of this aged very poorly. Sorry about that.
The magazine referred to her as possibly the most spontaneous force in all of video land. And this magazine described her as the woman who turned a conventional talk show into a distinctive hour of laughing, crying, hollering, hugging, and sharing. Well, if you haven't been home weekday mornings at 9 to watch Oprah Winfrey on Channel 2, take a moment to sit back and see what all the fuss is about.
And this is just, you can kind of see clips of her show.
Doesn't warn you about what you're going to see.
So I raised my children, and I didn't need some damn babbling puking dame to tell me how to do it. Keep your sex. Keep your sex. Who wants your sex?
I have raised 4 beautiful children. I'm a grandmother,
So am I.
and I still
You're a
look good,
grandmother?
and I still can handle it. I work for $1.50.
Her show used to be a little crazy.
I'm making $13 an hour.
Every morning since September, millions across America have been treated to a dazzling display of
Her running back and
a
forth between the
battlefield
arguing
with
people.
Oprah caught in the crossfire.
This is really something. I've raised 6 kids, and you don't got any?
Pastor Miles Farm in Michigan, plan meetings and plan events. Come back to Marquette Park and cite race riots. That is a lie, and I'll ram it down your throat right in your face.
Please help me to try to understand this. Like her close competitor Phil Donahue, Oprah treats her audience to an eclectic array of subjects. For example, men who wear women's clothes.
I told you this aged a little poorly.
To men and women who
We're gonna
like
talk
to
about
wear
the KKK.
No clothes at all.
How do you decide to become a nudist? I mean, what happens in your life that just one day you want to take off your clothes?
So, like, to be in the 80s and be, like, interviewing nudists, like, very cutting edge, like, very much ahead of her time. Absolutely. So this is Oprah speaks on her early career, and it's her original audition tape for the Oprah Winfrey Show, because it used to be called something else. I can't remember what it was.
There's always been patterns in my life. Whenever I feel like I've grown enough in one place, I move on. So I felt that I'd grown enough in Nashville and couldn't grow anymore. So I moved on to Baltimore. Thank you. I became the co-host of a local morning show called People Are Talking with Richard Scher. And then one day I heard that there was a morning show in Chicago that needed a new host. So I stayed up all night long with an editor, sent my audition tape in because I was one of those people who wasn't prepared.
Oh, this is her
I
Chicago
wasn't
AM
giving all my
audition,
stories.
sorry.
So I had to work all night. I was obsessed with getting this job. Somehow, after all these years, my staff hunted down my original audition tape. I don't know how on earth I got hired. Let's take a look.
This is her audition
Hi
tape.
there, my name is Oprah Winfrey. Oprah spelled O-P-R-A-H, and if you noticed, it's Harpo spelled backwards. My folks did not particularly like Harpo marks. We did not even have a television set in our home for a number of years. Originally, I was named from the Bible by Aunt Ida, who named me from Ruth, the 1st chapter and the 14th verse, Orpah, but no one knew how to spell in my home, and that's why it ended up being Oprah.
So that was her original audition tape talking about her name. So, early Oprah days. TV columnist Howard Rosenberg said, she's a roundhouse, a full-course meal, a big, brassy, loud, aggressive, hyper, laughable, lovable, soulful, tender, low-down, earthy, and hungry. She also, and she may know the way to Phil Donahue's jugular. Newsday's Lays Payne observed, Oprah is a sharper than Donahue, wittier, more genuine, and far better attuned to her audience, if not the world. And Martha Bales of the Wall Street Journal wrote, it's a relief to see a gabmonger with a fond but realistic assessment of her own cultural and religious roots. I don't know what that means. And in the early days of the Oprah Winfrey Show, it was classified as a tabloid talk show. And then by the mid-1990s, she started to have broader topics such as heart disease, geopolitics, spirituality, meditation, and she interviewed celebrities on social issues they were directly involved with, such as charity, cancer work, substance abuse, and hosted televised giveaways. So, the business side of things. One thing that's unique about Oprah is her business savvy. Oh, what's my zodiac sign? I'm a Capricorn. So in 1986, Winfrey founded Harpo Productions, a production company that used her name spelled backwards. And in 1988, the company took full charge of Winfrey's show, which was produced in new facilities near the West Side. So a lot of TV host, I would say most TV hosts do not own the show. They have a boss. They are reporting to someone else. Oprah, her production studio, owns her show. That's very unique. By the late 1990s, Winfrey's show had about 20 million regular viewers, and Harpo Productions had annual revenues of about 150 million and about 200 Chicago employees. Where was I? So I wanted to show you, I literally wanted to sit here and watch Oprah all night, but we just can't do that, unfortunately. So I wanted to show you the 25 highest rated Oprah episodes, just so you can kind of, or highest rated Oprah episodes, just so you can kind of see the vibes. Oh, this looks different than it did. So this is, oh, a week after announcing her engagement to Stedman, we'll talk about that later, Oprah spoke with a private eye, an admitted briber who said he once sold Oprah's personal phone number to a tabloid. That's crazy. And then a follow-up show about relationships. Oprah convinced Gayle's mom's Peggy to chop her long locks and reach the hair-raising height of 80s fashion. So a friend makeover show. Inside the life of an obese person. Again, some of this aged poorly. We also are going to have a whole thing where we talk about weight in the context of Oprah and Oprah's like things that she said that have not been good, things that have happened to her. We'll talk about all of that. How to find loved ones, hated ones, and people who owe you money. So they learned about private detectives in that episode. Denying my race, told how members of, this is an interview with someone who told how members of a biracial family had chosen different times to identify and pass as different races. Only good news, it was a all good news where she gave hardworking neighbors a day off, babysitting for a deserving couple, hiring a job applicant, so literally just like a positive vibes episode. Rodney King verdict, anger and aftermath in, it was like her episode right after the Rodney King trial, which is a whole other thing that we don't have time to get into right now, but we should on another day. Does an episode where people shed their disguises. She did an episode in Forsyth County, Georgia, which Forsyth County is really known for its racism and had not had a single black resident since before World War I. Tensions ran high there, so she did an interview with people there. One where people hated interracial relationships. This was in the 90s. They were still kind of taboo then. Honestly, depending where you ask, still taboo now. She did an interview with Elizabeth Taylor. So we're not going to go through this entire list, but I want to get to some of the like top rated ones, just so you can see. But you can see she does a variety of different topics. A weight loss show, 5th anniversary show, a guy who loves older women, Home Alone controversy. Oh, someone got arrested for child abandonment because they left their kids home alone, and then Oprah interviewed them. Interesting. Oprah makeovers. Lucky staffers got style makeovers. Interview with someone who had killed someone. An interview with Michael Jackson. Celebrity Hall of Fame. And then her diet episode was like the #1 rated episode, I guess. So, will you ever stream from an actual Walmart parking lot? I'm working on it because I live near a Walmart now. Sorry. So I want to kind of talk about a few specific Oprah moments throughout the year. So February 10th, 1993, Winfrey interviews Michael Jackson. It was his first TV interview in over a decade. It was watched by more than 90 million people. Jackson spoke about his childhood abuse and revealed of his skin condition vitiligo, and it remains one of her most sensational episodes. Finally in class after being brainwashed by the pipeline. The TikTok to YouTube to Twitch pipeline. So other noteworthy things in her career, obviously her show is like iconic in what we know, but she also has done a bunch of other stuff. In April 2000, the first issue of O Magazine is published, having already proved to be a major power in publishing world with her televised book club recommendations. She branched out into magazines and remained in print until 2020, and then it moved online. I also wanted to show this clip. It's like the longest clip we're gonna watch, but it's Oprah talking about how she had white supremacists on the show, and then she decided that it gave them too much of a platform and she didn't want to do that. And then the same white supremacist came back on her show decades later and apologized to her. And I think I love this clip because I think it just shows like the influence and the power of Oprah, and I think like the way she carries herself through these very difficult conversations and the way that she's able to reflect on her actions and her impact is just like really incredible. It's 5 minutes.
1 year later, Oprah invited a panel of white supremacists to the show to use her platform to expose their ignorance and hate. What happened during this hour changed the course of Oprah's show history forever.
My guests today call themselves
This is from 88.
skinheads. They say their heads are shaved for battle. Do you believe that only white people created this country?
Everything that's created around here is created by white people. You know, all the music writers and, you know, builders, great architects who are white. You know, blacks, they still live in the jungles of Africa. You know, like over here, white people teach these people. You know, they didn't create anything over here. They just followed us. You know, we taught them.
Mike, why is violence necessary?
Violence is necessary when it's brought to us. And we've had people come at us with bats, knives, and stuff like that. Why? Because we're white.
I don't think
Oprah says she and her producers believed they would be exposing ignorance and confronting hate, but they were wrong. The men came with their own agenda, and in the end, a panel of racists were given an hour-long platform to spread their message of evil.
I just heard what you said. You just said, I don't sit with monkeys. You think because she's black, because I'm black, we're monkeys? Is that?
It's a proven fact.
That's a proven fact? It's a proven fact that I'm a monkey?
Could be. No,
Go ahead.
First thing I want to get off my mind is...
I want to talk about this monkey stuff.
He did not just do that.
The ADL, okay?
No. I want to talk about the monkey business. I want to talk about...
Support black...
Sit down. Sit down. I'll take a break. I'll be right back. Well, I just want to tell you what happened during the commercial break. We asked our friend Mr. Monkey Comment over here to leave, and some other people followed him. I have to agree with this woman down here who said, I have never seen such or felt such evilness and such hatred in all my life.
That was the show that changed the way Oprah thought about TV and how it should be used for good.
I realized in that moment that I was doing more to empower them than I was to expose them. And since that moment, I've never done a show like that again.
That was a pivotal...
The ability of her to, one, handle it in the moment, two, be willing to have had that, approach that topic on TV. It's a very difficult topic, especially, you know, at a time where it wasn't talked about on TV as much as it is now. And for her to, reflect on it and, I just really, really admire her for how she handled this situation. Because it's a very tough situation.
Moment in Oprah show history. But in that final season, that show served as a measure for how far people can come.
Dave Mazzella and Mike Barrett were two of the white supremacists who were on that show, and they wanted to be here today. And I said, okay to that because I hear you change.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to express, you know, absolutely from the bottom of my heart, I apologize for how we were on your show because we were rude, we were arrogant, we were disruptive and hateful. And I apologize first and foremost to you just for the evil that we did.
Apology accepted. And Mike, where were you in your life at that time? What do you think when you see yourself on that tape?
It really brings tears to my eyes.
Really?
So,
Really?
yes, so that kid was lost.
Oh. You were lost. Yeah.
Well, 1 year after that show,
I like how he kind of tried to remove accountability and said, that kid was lost, and she goes, you were lost. I just wanted to make sure everyone else noticed that, because I noticed.
Mike went to prison for defacing a synagogue. Dave went to jail for assault. And Mike says, you had an epiphany in prison? What
I
happened?
did. The crew they put me on was entirely black, including black sergeants. So here I am, the only white guy.
I bet you wasn't waving that white supremacist flag. No.
But the
what
epiphany
happened?
was these guys accepted me for who I was. They already knew about my past because it was tattooed all over my back and my neck. I had swastikas all over me and stuff like that.
Wow.
But they treated me like a human being. Yeah, they just taught me that everybody's a human being, and we can't just hate people.
What made you change, Dave?
Well, about 6 months after the show, I ended up recruiting a group up in Portland, Oregon that ended up murdering an Ethiopian student.
Wow.
And at that point, that woke me up. And I realized that there's consequences to ideas.
Do you feel better as a human being now?
Oh, most definitely. I feel differently. I'm so embarrassed when I, obviously watch things like that. It's embarrassing being here today because of my past. I don't like it. And it's humiliating.
Isn't this so powerful? That's why I wanted to show the whole clip, and I didn't want to put it in faster speed because, like, literal chills on my body. So I kind of want to go through some of Oprah's other career stuff and other accomplishments that she's had. In 2002, she won the Bob Hope Humanitarian Award. In 2003, she became the world's first black female billionaire, which we don't like billionaires, but if there's going to be a billionaire, I'm glad it's Oprah. That's my stance on it. It's a unique position to be able to hold someone accountable to that. Exactly. Oh, the Jane Elliott episode is worth watching. I need to rewatch Oprah. Where can we stream Oprah? Probably OWN has some kind of app where I can pay for it, I bet. Anyway, so since making that list in 2003, the Forbes annual list of the world's billionaire, Oprah's wealth has more than doubled since then. In 2006, she interviewed Barack Obama. Winfrey threw her support behind Obama before the senator had even announced he was running for president. Her endorsement of his 2006 book, The Audacity of Hope, is often credit for launching it to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And Obama's appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show, one of several, is viewed as a significant waypoint in his journey to being elected. Before 2008, Winfrey endorsed Obama as her chosen candidate. So Oprah, really, I guess, saw Obama before Obama was, who we know Obama as today, and read his book and really, kind of saw him as a leader and someone that, deserved the attention he was receiving. Or he wasn't receiving at that time. So in 2006, then Senator Barack Obama shared how he kept one of his favorite sayings from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. helped keep him hopeful, even when the highest reaches of government gave off the sense that it's more important to be powerful or to be wealthy than to do what's right. So this is Obama on the Oprah Show in 2006. So this is before he's president.
If you think about this country, what's happened is typically that we've gone in spurts. Sometimes we make progress, the civil rights movement
So he's a senator
or abolition. And then sometimes we go into dark times. But the general trajectory is upward. One of my favorite sayings, Martin Luther King once said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. You can't always see it, but out on the horizon, it's moving in the direction.
Okay, but you do not feel that these are dark times?
Well, I think they're troubling times, and I think they're troubling times for a couple of reasons. I think they're troubling times because we feel cynical about government.
To compare cynicalness about the government from 2006 to now? To be in 2006 and be I think we feel cynical about the government. I have terrible news for you. It's gonna get so much worse. I'm so sorry to say it.
Yeah.
We don't get a sense that the challenges that we're facing in terms of educating our kids to compete and making sure that everybody has health care, dealing with the energy problems that we have.
No idea
I've never heard this phrase before. You called it a coarsening of the culture.
Well, and you see it all the
Our
time.
belief in materialism and all of that.
And you see it. You see it in our youth.
Yeah.
And you see it at the highest reaches of government. A sense that it's more important to be powerful or to be wealthy than it is to do right.
Hi, YouTubers. I'm excited to give you an update about our...
I also partially picked this clip because at the end where she goes, "Hi, YouTubers." I love that. I love that. I've never felt so welcome in my entire life as I did to hear Oprah say, "Hi, YouTubers." Hi, YouTubers. So Oprah Winfrey's endorsement of Barack Obama, I also just wanted to show you that there is an entire Wikipedia page about her endorsement of Barack Obama. Literally, like, its influence, what people are saying about it, like it's a whole own thing. So I just kind of wanted to point that out as we talk about this. Why does that even exist? Because I think it's like they took clips from her show and put them on YouTube, so I think they had a later clip of her like addressing YouTube, telling people to subscribe and stuff like that. So Winfrey first endorsed Senator Obama in September 2006, before he had even declared himself a candidate. I don't think this is true, but one of my little brain concoctions is that Barack Obama never wanted to run for president and Oprah endorsed him, and he was like, well, if Oprah says you'd be a good president, you kind of don't have a fucking choice, and that's why he's president. I don't think that happened, but in my mind, that's how it went down. She made multiple campaign appearances for him. Two economists estimate that Winfrey's endorsement is worth over 1 million votes in the Democratic primary, and that without it, he would have received a lot fewer votes. Oprah's endorsement is why my mother was one of like the OG women that was on like Women for Obama, and like there were campaign people at my house every day. An Obama campaign staffer lived with us. He couldn't afford rent, so he lived with us. So Oprah is why my mother was very passionate about Barack Obama's election. So I'm sure that that's not like an isolated incident and that lots of other people are in that exact same boat. I know it's materialistic and I know it's literally a commercial, but nothing is as fun as Oprah's favorite things. Like, my dream is to be in the audience of an Oprah's favorite things. And I'm going to give you some context about Oprah's favorite things. So Oprah's favorite things, I'm aware it's a commercial, okay? I'm aware that not all of these are her actual favorite things and that they're just brand deals essentially. But the thing I love about it is that the people in the audience don't know it's going to be the Oprah's favorite thing episode, because they don't film it like right around Christmas. They film it a few months prior. So when you go to Oprah, you don't know what it's going to be. You just get to go to Oprah and you have a ticket and you don't know what Oprah's going to be. So imagine, like, you're already going to Oprah, so it's already the best day of your fucking life. Like, it's maybe some days we'll have a favorite thing stream. I need to email my manager right now. But anyway, it'd be like Skillshare and Big Blanket, and I'd be like, I have nothing else I like. But anyway, so imagine you're already like, you're hyped to see Oprah, and then you get there, and it's the favorite things. So here are Oprah's 6 most outrageous favorite thing giveaways. I love her. Look how happy she is. Maytag washing and drying system.
There ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of blue.
Everyone's screaming. A diamond watch.
It's a diamond face watch by Philip Stein. It's 50 diamonds, people. 50 diamonds.
I would sell that shit.
Okay, audience, inside this box is the most expensive gift in Favorite Things history. When I saw it, I said, whoa. Now that is a showstopper. People of Macon, are you ready?
Oh my god, she's in Macon, Georgia? That's hilarious.
Let her go.
It is a refrigerator with a built-in TV. What people don't realize is they have to pay taxes on all of it. True. 3D TVs.
Turn that crank. Whoops, turn the crank. Faster, faster. Faster, faster.
Oh, it's a cruise. They get to go on a cruise on the allure of the seas, but we know about cruises.
On a 7-day cruise!
We're going on a cruise. Or we're not. I don't know why I just said that. But y'all know why we're not. I saw that Oprah paid the taxes. That's so her. That is so her. This is the Beetle. Someone mentioned this. The people crying. And there would be sometimes where she'd be like, everyone in the favorite things audience, like, deserved it for some kind of reason. Maybe it was like survivors of a disease or victims of something, or like, oh, sometimes she'd have everybody come together and they didn't know it was going to be a favorite things. They thought the episode was just like about their issue. And then they get there and it's favorite things. I used to beg and plead with my mother to take me to Oprah's favorite things because I didn't understand that you can't pick to go to that. And my mom like writes and does like corporate stuff. So she had done projects for women business things within Harpo's network. So she never worked with Oprah, but she worked with one of Harpo's writers. And so I was like, you literally have an Oprah connection. Why are we not going to favorite things? That's so hilarious and cool and also weird. I can't decide how I feel about rich people giveaways. I hope that she paid the taxes and that feels like a very her thing to do. This looks so fun. I would love to be Oprah in this moment. Look how happy she looks. I think gift giving is her love language.
Hi, YouTubers. I'm excited.
Again, hi, YouTubers. Me at the age of 8 watching the literal commercial of Oprah's favorite things. Wait, not to be dumb, but how does favorite things work? Ah, okay. So basically, you're going to Oprah to see the show. You don't know that it's going to be favorite things. And then you get there and you're in your seat and Oprah comes out and she's like, it's Oprah's favorite things. And every person gets every item that she mentions. Oh, and someone said she paid the taxes and gave choice of colors to choose from. So when Oprah's like, a fridge, every single person there gets a fridge. When Oprah's like, a car, every single person there gets the car. One of the former winners is on TikTok and she still has the VW. I would. I absolutely would. Absolutely I would. Yeah. So it's literally like, it's like winning the fucking lottery, honestly. You get like tens and thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I also wanted to address this because I said that I would. There's a lot of moments from Oprah's show that are not inclusive of all body types. And I kind of wanted to take a moment because a lot of people are saying like Oprah's extremely fat phobic, all of these things. Keep in mind the context that Oprah grew up in and the amount of terrible fucking things that have been said about Oprah's body. Like, obviously, her show is going to be reflective of the diet culture of that time. Does that make it a good thing that she said and did these things? No. I'm just saying it's understandable. So, Oprah has also had inaccurate medical information and bad eating advice on her show many times, and her own weight has been a topic of conversation many, many times, and it's overall, in my opinion, just a super complicated topic. In January 2017, Oprah said that she didn't care how much she weighed. She said, when the weight started to come off, I needed to get clear on my intention. I could lose weight to fit a dress size or attend an event or to make people like me, but I couldn't keep it off for those reasons. I always put the weight back on. This time I changed the intention to, I want to be the healthiest I can be, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So the process and purpose of losing shifted for me. It was easier because my intention was clearer. Before, when I was weighing 150 pounds, I'd imagine getting up to 200 pounds and think, oh my God. But now I think, I never thought at 200 pounds I could look in the mirror and love my body, love myself, and not chide and minimize myself for being 200 pounds. At 200 pounds, I was okay. Never have I ever been at that point. And then at 190, I was okay. If I don't lose another pound right now, I'm still okay. The fullness of life and the fullness of being and self-acceptance. I'd never done that before. I'd always beaten myself up because I was tied to a number. So I think I like to share what she said most recently about her weight because I think it's really not fair for us to look back 20 years and be like, you said this really fucked up thing about weight when she was like struggling with her own thoughts and feelings about herself. Like I said, that doesn't make it like okay that she went on TV and like shamed people and did all these things and said these things and supported kind of like really toxic diet culture. But I'm just saying like she's another victim of the general diet culture of that time. I don't think she's an original perpetrator of that culture. And I also, it's not like that's the only thing she talked about. Like, so I also distinctly remember seeing this magazine in my mom's office when I was a child. And it literally like, apparently Oprah lost a bunch of weight. She was on her magazine looking skinny. and then she gained some of the weight, and then she had this cover and said, "How did I let this happen? Oprah on her battle with weight. A must read for anyone who's ever fallen off the wagon." So like her weight has always been a topic both in her own life and in the tabloids. So I just think it's an important like topic to treat with a lot of empathy and context. So back to a timeline of her career. In 2011, the Oprah Winfrey Network is launched. This is OWN, Oprah Winfrey Network, dedicated to entertainment and lifestyle programming. And then in May 25th, the Oprah Winfrey Show airs its final episode. So it was on for a very long time with the expiration of her contract. In the years since, she has continued to host talk shows in a number of different platforms and currently presents the Oprah Conversation and Oprah's Book Club for Apple TV. And she's on a bunch of stuff on OWN, and she has podcasts, and she writes books and all these things. So that's kind of like her TV career. I want to go into some other important stuff about her. So publishing and writing. So Oprah is also an author. She has co-authored 5 books, with the announcement of a weight loss book in 2005, co-authored with her personal trainer, Bob Greene. It was said that her undisclosed advance fee had broken the record for the world's highest book advance fee, previously held by President Bill Clinton. So I want to explain what a book of advance fee is. If you are an author, normally you write your book, you pitch it to people, and then they might buy it and publish it. If you are a famous person, they will pay you in advance. Or if you're an already established author, they pay you in advance because basically they know whatever the fuck you write is going to sell because of who you are or because previously you've written stuff that has sold. So an advance is basically them paying you in advance so that you will focus on your book. Because if you're a famous person, you're not going to just spend a ton of time writing a book not knowing if you're going to get paid for it. So they'll write you in advance to kind of give you the ability to take some time off work, and if that's your life, and work on your book, and like basically to lock you into their deal. So in 2015, her memoir, The Life You Want, was announced following the tour of following on her tour of the same name and scheduled for publication in 2017, but it was indefinitely postponed, apparently. She also published the Oprah magazine, a magazine called Oh at Home. In 2002, Fortune called the Oprah magazine the most successful startup in the industry. Its circulation declined a lot, but also just like magazine circulation, really declined a lot in general. So I don't really think that's Oprah's fault. The January 2009 was her best-selling issue since 2006, and still is. The audience for her magazine was considerably more upscale than for her TV show. The average reader earns well above the median for a U.S. woman. In July 2020, it was announced that Oprah magazine would end its print, like we said, and Winfrey thanked her readers and acknowledged that it was the magazine's final monthly print edition. My mom used to love O magazine, and I was at my boyfriend's family's house, and I was in the bathroom, and they had a little magazine holder, and it had a bunch of Oprah magazines in them, and I was like, need, that was before I even had the idea for this stream, too. That was a couple weeks ago. So I also wanted to talk about her war influence. So in 2002, George W. Bush invited Oprah Winfrey to join a U.S. delegation that included Karen Hughes and Condoleezza Rice, planning to go to Afghanistan to celebrate the return of the Afghan girls to school. The Oprah strategy was designed to portray the war on terror in a positive light, but Oprah refused to participate. She said, "I'm not doing that shit. Y'all have fun. I'm not coming." Leading up to the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq, Winfrey's show received criticism for having an anti-war bias. Ben Shapiro jump scare. Like, where the fuck did this come from? Ben Shapiro of townhall.com wrote, "Oprah Winfrey, what has Ben Shapiro done? Fuck Ben Shapiro. Oprah Winfrey is the most powerful woman in America. She decides what makes the New York Times bestseller list. Her touchy-feel style sucks in audiences at the rate of 14 million viewers per day. But Oprah is far more than a cultural force. She's a dangerous political force as well. A woman with unpredictable and mercurial, what does that even mean? I'm going to Google it. Mercurial? Oh, that's literally just means unpredictable, using the same word twice to look smart. Got it. Trigger warning, Ben Shapiro. Attitudes towards major issues of the day. So he hates her because she's not pro-war. In February 2003 series in which Oprah Winfrey showed clips from people all over the world asking America not to go to war, it was interrupted in several East Coast markets by network broadcast of a press conference in which George W. Bush and Colin Powell summarized the case for war. So Oprah was trying to be on TV and was like, here are people all across the entire world. Fuck off, TikTok. Great job. You've been live for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. No breaks, just Oprah. So she's showing people from all over the world, like, hey, everyone's begging us not to go to war. And the government is like, we're interrupting your regular broadcast to talk about why we should go to war. What happened to freedom of speech? What happened to that? Literally, what happened to that? In 2006, Winfrey recalled such controversies. I once did host a show titled, Is War the Only Answer? In the history of my career, I've never received more hate mail. Like, go back to Africa hate mail. And I was accused of being un-American for even raising the question. The fact that the title is War the Only Answer? And people were like, you're un-American! I'm not even saying, it's not even like it says, never have war. It literally just says, is war the only answer? That's literally like the least controversial phrasing of this question that I could possibly imagine. So I also want to talk about Philanthropy. In 2004, she became the first Black person to rank among the 50 most generous Americans. I fucking hate the title of that, 50 most generous Americans, because you can be generous in ways that are not monetary, and usually when people are being generous with money, it's just for taxes. So I hate that title. By 2012, she had given away $400 million to educational causes. She's also given 400 scholarships to Morehouse College in Atlanta. She was the first recipient. Oh, we've already talked about the Bob Hope Humanitarian Award. To celebrate 2 decades on national TV and to thank her employees for their hard work, she took her staff on vacation in Hawaii. She took over 1,000 people on vacation to Hawaii. Also, shout out to her for bringing their families, because I would be fucking pissed if my boss was like, I'm taking you on a trip to thank you, and I didn't get to bring anyone and I just had to hang out with my coworkers the whole time. Like, obviously I'd still go and like get the free food and alcohol, but to take their families as well, we need a Dolly Parton stream. Hagrid likes motorbikes. I'm glad to hear you're home and we have a Dolly Parton stream. It's on the YouTube. In 2013, she donated $12 million to the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History. She also received her Presidential Medal of Freedom Award from Barack Obama that year. In 1998, she also created Oprah's Angel Network, a charity that supports charitable projects and provides grants to nonprofits around the world. This network has raised over $80 million, and Winfrey personally covered all administrative costs associated with the charity. So 100% of the funds went to charity programs. In May 2010, Oprah's TV show ended. The charity stopped accepting donations and was shut down, though. I don't really know. I feel like she could have kept going with that, but whatevs. And in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, the Oprah Angel Network Katrina Registry raised more than $11 million for relief efforts, and Winfrey personally gave $10 million. Homes were built in Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama before the 1-year anniversary of Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. So Oprah has always given away lots and lots of money. Speaking of money, this is advice from Oprah. This is advice that my mom told me when I was really young from Oprah, and then I came across it again, and I think it's a really, really important advice. So Oprah said one thing that she does all the time is that she signs all of her own checks. That does not sound like a big deal to you and I, and it wouldn't be a big deal if she only had like 10 people working for her. But this is Oprah. That means of her hundreds of employees, she is signing those checks for that business. She didn't let anyone else sign checks on her behalf, and she knew where every single nickel and dime that went out the door. She said, I need to know what my electric bill is. I think it keeps you grounded and aware of what's coming in and what's going out. I sit on boring tax meetings. I handle the money wiring. I've never liked surprises. So she said, be sure that you're the only one that signs every check that goes out the door, both literally and metaphorically. I promise you'll feel more in control of your business and, more importantly, in control of your life. So that is very, very uncommon. Most famous people like this, they're like, I don't want to waste my time on admin stuff. They usually have like a finance person that they give legal ability to sign on their behalf and handle those things for them, like a business manager type person. Oprah's not doing that. She wants to be in control of her own money. Also, I wanted to show you her filmography on Wiki because it's literally huge. I was going to screenshot it and put it into separate slides, but it's literally just so large. So here's her as an actress. The first one is A Color Purple. You can see she's been in a lot of stuff. She was in Charlotte's Web as the voice of Gussie the Goose. She was in the Bee Movie as the voice. She was in Sesame Street, Princess and the Frog. She was in The Butler. She was in Selma. She's been in Handmaid's Tale. Her voice was in it. Here's her as herself, Saturday Night Live, The Oprah Winfrey Show, 30 Rock, Super Soul Sunday, Where Are They Now, Oprah's Book Club, Oprah Talks on COVID. And then here is her as producer in all of these things, literally like so many things. Her bibliography, these are the books. Yeah, she's just been in a shit ton of stuff and done literally so much and accomplished way more than you and I have, but it's fine. So Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. So in 2004, they filmed an episode called Oprah's Christmas Kindness, in which Oprah traveled to South Africa to bring attention to the plight of young children affected by poverty and the AIDS crisis there. During the 21-day trip, Oprah and her crew visited schools and orphanages in poverty-stricken areas and distributed Christmas presents to 50,000 children. Dolls, soccer balls, school supplies, stuff like that. Throughout the show, Oprah appealed to viewers to donate to the Angel Network. From that show alone, viewers around the world donated over $7 million, and Oprah invested $40 million in some of her time establishing the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. This is in the game. Where is the school? It's in South Africa. It opened in 2007. Originally, it had 150 girls there. Now it's 450. It features state-of-the-art classrooms, computer and science labs, a library, a theater, a beauty salon. Nelson Mandela praised Winfrey for overcoming her own disadvantaged youth and becoming a benefactor for others. Critics consider the school elitist and unnecessarily luxurious. I love Oprah's response to people saying it's unnecessarily luxurious. She said, if you are surrounded by beautiful things and wonderful teachers who inspire you, that beauty brings out the beauty in you. Winfrey, who has no surviving biological children, described maternal feelings towards the girls at Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. Oprah Winfrey teaches a class at the school via satellite. So I love it when people are like, it's too luxurious. She was like, go fuck yourself. That makes you care more about yourself. So I'm going to keep it beautiful here. Thanks. Here's some pictures from the school, Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy, South Africa. It's very beautiful. Here's some pictures of her with the girls there, their uniforms. This is the first graduating class there. They look beautiful. Look at that. Here's again, Oprah with some of the girls there, cutting the ribbon there. Again, more pictures there. So since I promised I would address this because there were a lot of like conspiracy theorists in my comments saying terrible things about Oprah, I wanted to address some incidents that happened within the school. So trigger warning on abuse, but shortly after the all-girls school opened in 2007, the school matron, Virginia Macobo, was charged with sexually molesting several girls. So at the time that this happened, Oprah Winfrey flew to South Africa to offer a personal apology to the students and parents and talked about her own experience with sexual abuse. And she gave out her personal cell phone number to every single girl in the academy and literally was like, if anything happens to you, call me. I'm a phone call away. Like, I know this is a serious topic, but if Oprah gave me her phone number, oh my God, I would not be able to handle that. I would literally text her all the time. I would be like, I'm in math. What are you doing? Like, Oprah would have to block me. Like, I can admit that that's a part of who I am. She also fired the school's head mistress, and she said, nothing is more serious or devastating to me than an allegation of misconduct by any adult and any girl at the academy. She said, I will do everything within my power to ensure their safety and well-being. The person, Macobo, what was her first name? Virginia. Macobo was acquitted of charges in an action which Oprah said was profoundly disappointing, and she said, I will forever be proud of the 9 girls who testified with the courage and conviction to be heard. And then Winfrey was later sued for defamation and settled it out of court, but the settlement of that was not revealed. So this is why I wanted to talk about this, because I think that a lot of people took this instance and fed into conspiracy theories that aren't true, when in reality, I think like this is really a model for like how to handle a situation like this, in my opinion. There's never a perfect way to handle it, but you know, the fact that she went there, she apologized, she took accountability for it, she did everything in her power to make sure this isn't going to happen again, like all of that. I don't know. I don't see what else she really could have done. Imagine Josh from Drake and Josh getting her phone number. So then in 2009, they suspended 7 students for sexually harassing and fondling classmates. The news quoted from a South African newspaper reported one 15-year-old had urged her victims to lie to investigators about what happened. Others were accused of trying to entice students in the academy into lesbian encounters. And a Winfrey spokesperson confirmed the suspension but was mum on the details. So this was another scandal that happened at the school as well, just because I said we would be talking about it. And then the last scandal at the school, trigger warning, this is pretty rough, but we're going to keep it very brief. In 2011, police investigated the body of a newborn that was found in one of the students' bags. The body was found in a 17-year-old's bag, brought to a hospital where she was being treated for excess bleeding. They believe the girl, who has not been identified, gave birth at the school. And no charges had been filed against the girl, and police will discuss this with the director of public prosecutions once the investigation has been finalized. The police captain confirmed that the girl was still recovering from the hospital, and then Oprah's spokesperson said that they would not comment on the incident because a minor was involved. So very heartbreaking situation. We're not going to talk about the details of it because the exact same thing. It's a minor. It's not our fucking business, and it's literally just not our fucking business. But the only reason I included it is because these incidents led to a very damaging conspiracy theory about Oprah. So an unhinged conspiracy theory had taken root, claiming that Oprah was arrested for her role in a global sex trafficking ring, and it reached the point that Winfrey felt the need to address the rumors. Oprah said, "Just got a phone call that my name is trending." She wrote this on Twitter, and she said, "And having been trolled for some awful fake thing, it is not true. Haven't been raided or arrested, just sanitizing and self-distancing from the rest of the world. Stay safe, everybody." The outlandish allegations were reported by QAnon, which has spread a lot of different conspiracy theories. So also she has some kind of like wrong side of history health era stuff. We're going to talk about like my thoughts about all of this in a second, but a lot of people dislike that she allowed Jenny McCarthy, Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, Suzanne Summers to kind of talk about some things that were not true. Multiple publications have called on Oprah to denounce medical statements made by former proteges after her show ended. For example, there were calls for her to denounce Dr. Oz in reaction to his comments about coronavirus and his promotion of a poorly vetted drug as a cure. So she definitely has worked with some people that have gone on to do not good things. Same thing with Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil used Oprah used her platform to prop up the work of Dr. Phil. She really helped create Dr. Phil when she met him in 1996 and hired him to counsel her professionally. And yeah, so he became famous, and Dr. Oz again was famous, and both of those people have done really not good things. Another person she had on her show that went on to really be a terrible person was someone called John the God. John the God is like a healer in Brazil, and more than 200 women have accused him of sexually abusive behavior. And he's been written about for years, but he really didn't become like a worldwide figure until Oprah had an episode on him in 2010. And random misredacted lore, I specifically remember this episode because my dad has some health issues, and my mom really, really wanted my dad to go to this guy in Brazil, and my dad was like, "That's really expensive. I'm not going to go there." The moral here is to not help men. Stop. So I kind of wanted to talk about my thoughts on these scandals, if you can even call them that. In regards to the stuff with the school, sexual abuse happens to billions of people all across the globe. Almost every single person either has firsthand or secondhand experience with this. So I'm not surprised that there have been instances of abuse within Oprah's school. Like I said, abuse happens all over the world. I think that Oprah is the target of these conspiracy theories because she's a highly successful Black woman who does not have children and doesn't fit the mold of what she's supposed to be. And I think evil, racist people want to punish her for being confident, unmarried, successful, all of those things. And I think that there are people who are not aware of their own bias that easily gobble up that conspiracy theory, and they don't even realize how fucking crazy that is. And I think there's also really a lack of literacy in this country when it comes to news and people being able to identify like what's a conspiracy theory and what's real and what's fake. I think that like that is a huge problem that we have because it's just a mess. Like, people don't know how to analyze sources. And then, actually, I really talked about that in the podcast this week. I talk about like social studies education in the podcast this week, and we're really in a crisis. It's a whole other episode if you want to listen to it. And I do not think Oprah is perfect. I think that Oprah is a human like all of us. I think Oprah has given a platform to some people that didn't deserve one. I think that Oprah has made mistakes in her career, but I don't believe that she's acted as an abuser or acted with any malice. And I'm going to grant her a lot of grace because, one, it's very difficult to be a pioneer in your industry. She was talking about things on TV that people had not talked about on TV, like meditation and racism and health things and all of that. So I think that, like, when you are doing new things, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to do things that are wrong. And I also am going to grant her a lot of grace that her TV show was on every single day. Think about how many mistakes you make in a day. Think about how many mistakes you've made at work. Think about how many moments you've had bad judgment. And I think when someone's on TV, it's easy for us to be like, well, you're on TV, so you should be acting perfect. But if you're on TV every day, you're going to say and do things that are not representative of your best self and of your best judgment. And I think that it would be so unrealistic to expect someone to have been on TV every day for 20 years and never have had a guest that went on to do something terrible. I think that's just a really ridiculously, impossibly high standard to have for somebody. And I think it's really unfair that it gets put on her. But I'm kind of like soapboxing now and just defending Oprah. And I didn't want to end on like a scandal or a sad note, so I want to talk about two things I really admire her for. One is her long-term friendship with Gayle, and the other is with her boyfriend Stedman. So we're going to kind of go through who they are, and then that'll be the last thing for tonight. So Oprah and Gayle's 46-year friendship, they met in 1976. They were both 20-somethings working at Baltimore's WJZ station. And despite working in different departments, they were around the same age and single young Black women, very much a minority in the industry, and so they struck up an immediate bond. They've been friends for a very long time. Here are some pics of Oprah and Gayle together. That is Gayle's daughter. That's Oprah. Here is them together. This is in '86 when Gayle made her first appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Gayle surprises Oprah for her 40th birthday. I wanted to read this one. So, was Gayle surprising Oprah for her birthday. For an on-air party for her milestone birthday, celebrity guests like Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle were all in attendance talking about how they lived their best lives in their 40s. But just as Knight was providing some wisdom, a clearly shocked Oprah interrupted to make a special announcement. Gayle is here! I think it's just so cute that she was so excited her friend was there. I also found them in 2006 on this cross-country road trip. Like, literally their friendship is just iconic. And then we all saw them on Oprah. Like, they'd go camping together. They went and stayed at like a little colonial town with no electricity. Like, they've just done some cool stuff together. And then they had a show called, or not really a show, it was a joint video series called The OG Chronicles. And then in 2019, Oprah praised Gayle for the R. Kelly interview. Oprah said, "Bravo" at Gayle King for calm and steady focus during the R. Kelly interview. Outstanding job. Tell CBS This Morning we want to see the whole thing. You know that when the CBS social media coordinator got this notification, they immediately passed out. I would have, well, Oprah, post it. Like, imagine Oprah adding you on your work Twitter. And then here's Oprah saying, "So proud of Gayle King for when Oprah was on, or when Gayle was on Time's 100 Most Influential People." And then Oprah interviews Gayle for the first time. This was right before COVID. And then I thought this was very, very cute. After months of living on opposite coasts, Gayle in New York and Oprah in California, Gayle joined Oprah at her Santa Barbara home for a socially distant lunch. In the days following, Oprah proved to be an excellent host, delivering ice cream to Gayle's doorstep. Gayle was staying at Oprah's guest house. But after quarantining for 13 days, Oprah and Gayle finally reunited with a hug, and after they tested negative for COVID-19. So I just thought it was so cute that they hugged and they were like literally they're just such best friends. They've literally been hyping each other for decades and they're so cute, and I'm just really excited about it and I'm really happy about it. So moving on to Oprah and Stedman. Oprah and Stedman, this is her mans, they met in 1986. They had their meet cute the same year that Oprah Winfrey air showed. And Oprah wrote in O Magazine in 2020, we know that the duo had their happily ever after, but it wasn't smooth sailing to begin with. She had said, I'd seen a particular man around town. He was always with the same girlfriend, so I didn't pay much attention. One day, though, we were both visiting a mutual friend who was ill and later died of AIDS. The guy with the girlfriend had come to the friend's home alone, and so had I. We left together, and I asked if he wanted to get a beer. Yes, I drank a lot of beer and wore cowboy boots every day. He said he didn't drink. Still doesn't. Not one sip of nothing alcoholic since I've known him. Stedman really reminds me of my boyfriend. Wow. Apparently Oprah was a bit wary of Stedman because he was 6'6" and too handsome, so she thought he would be a player, but after cautious consideration and after she learned he was no longer with the previous girlfriend, Oprah gave him serious thought, and thankfully it was a match. She said, he's kind and supportive. Lots of people want to ride with you in the limo, but you want somebody who will help you catch the bus. So in 1987, Stedman makes his first appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show. During a segment for one of the show's earliest episodes, Stedman surprised Oprah, and he called in during a Q&A with her viewers, and he asked if Oprah had been telling her bestie Gayle King about him. I would lose my mind. If I was in the first year of my TV show and my boyfriend called me at work, I'd be like, fuck off, I'm working. Like, don't call me and be cute right now. We're on the air. People are going to think this is unprofessional. I would lose my mind. He said, I don't know if you recognize my voice or not. And she said, Stedman, is that you, Steady Honey? And he said, yes, baby, how are you doing? I would be mortified. I'd be like, I'm at work right now. Stop. I'm supposed to be a bad bitch right now. Like, leave me alone. He said, your friend Gayle, who you talk to 6 times a day, every time I see her in person, I'm wondering what she knows about me. I kind of have to look down when I see her because I don't know if she knows how many gray hairs I have on my head or what color my toes are. And she said, okay, honey, I'll tell you later. She really said, hang the fuck up right now. Why would you ask me this right now? Other notable moments, in 1992, they announced their engagement, but they never ended up getting married. Also in 2015, he became a grandfather. He had a child from a previous relationship, who then his child went on to have a child. His daughter from a previous marriage, Wendy Graham, gave their birth of the first grandchild named Cadence. So he's a grandfather. Also, I cried over this. Like, today, was that all of that? Yeah, I cried over this clip of him from her show today, and my AC tech was putting in a new unit, and I was crying. Have there been times? So this is from an episode where she had husbands of famous women and talked about how fame affects the relationship, or not just husbands, like partners, boyfriends, whatever. So she put him on the page. I realize that you're the star and this is what you do, and I support you in that, and I think that's the most important thing. Like, so everyone thinks I hate men, but I actually love men because this is what men are capable of. And I fucking love men. I just hate the ones that don't rise to the goddamn occasion. You know what I mean? I'm crying and screaming. I think that really explains my like dynamic with men well. Just crying and screaming, you know what I mean? So in 2017, or 2016, 17, I don't know. Oprah reveals why her and Stedman never got married. Oprah opened up to Vogue about why a marriage between her and her longtime partner would never work, and turns out it's a lot less complicated than it sounds. This content is imported from, oh, the fuck? Why is that there? She said, nobody believes it, but it's true. The only time I ever brought it up is when I said to Stedman, what would have happened if we'd actually gotten married? And the answer was, we wouldn't be together. We would not have stayed together because marriage requires a very different way of being in this world. So I literally think like they just have a really unique relationship that's not like a traditional marriage. And it's just like a very unique relationship to them. In 2020, she revealed more. She said, I had doubts. I realized I didn't actually want a marriage. I wanted to be asked. I wanted to know he felt I was being worthy of being his missus, but I didn't want the sacrifices, the compromises, and the day in, day out commitment required to make a marriage work. My life with the show was my priority, and we both knew it. She continued by writing that she has individual personhood and that he isn't just Oprah's man and that they share the same important values. And because we relish in seeing each other fulfill and manifest their destiny and their purpose. So I literally I get exactly what she's saying. I have never seen an explanation of marriage that I identified more than with this. She's like, him proposing was important because I wanted him to prove that, like, I was worthy of that, but I don't want that. I just want to know that you think I am worthy of that. So iconic. So iconic. Here's some pictures of them together. What does he do for a living? I don't know. What does Stedman do? A writer, a business person, a public speaker. Oh, he worked in PR. Okay. He's a founder of a nonprofit. Okay, he's done some cool stuff. Look at that. All about the validation. She's just like me for real. So here's some pics of them. Look at them. They're literally so cute together and so iconic. I love this pic. Her with her awards, him standing behind her. This is it. This is the energy right here. Very cute together. Another pic. Look how happy they are. He spoke at my high school one time. It was not a vibe. Well, you know. So in 2020, they quarantined together. Here's a picture of them doing puzzles. She said, never in a million years did I see me and Stedman doing a puzzle on a weekday night, but after 2 months in quarantine, we'd have to figure out different ways to spend time together. What does that mean? I guess this is before that tweet, but she made him live in the guest house. I think this is so fucking funny.
Bills are dropped off. And it's not bad. We put the meals at the door right there early in the morning. Well, we're locked down here too, but you only had 4 eggs left in Chicago.
So I guess he was in Chicago, and so he flew there, and she made him quarantine after his flight. We love a COVID-safe queen.
Bad shape. Bad shape. All right. Nice to see ya. Miss you too. Enjoy your luck.
Oh, I miss my boyfriend. He's just over there, but I miss
I'm
him.
gonna say you, let's go. Quarantine. Stay away.
At the door? On the doorstep?
I leave food on the doorstep. I am the exact opposite of Sabrina. Sabrina was saying, Sabrina
Stood by her man.
Sabrina said well, she said that, I went, I don't want to tell you Stedman's such a guest house, but okay.
Well, you guys are being safe. That is probably...
Yeah, you know, and Sabrina is what, 30, 40 years younger than us. Food at the...
So yeah, she had him in her guest house, and she was bringing him food, I guess. So that is our Oprah stream. Thank you so much for being here. Oprah is an imperfect person like all of us, but she is a personal role model of mine, and I had a lot of fun putting this together and learning more about her. Even though there were a lot of parts of it that were heavy, I'm hoping that overall it was more of an inspirational stream than a heavy stream. That was my goal with this. And I wanted to go through sources. There's a lot of them. My brain, my mom's brain, and then lots of different websites, Wikipedia, some blogs, Business Insider, NBC, ABC, BuzzFeed, Refinery 29, Oprah Daily. Lots of good sources here. Also, next week is going to be a remix stream because I have to do an annoying thing for work, so I'm going to be away from my computer for a while. So I won't be able to make slides like I usually do. So just how before we did a remix where it was an old topic with lots of new information, we're doing another remix. So what would you prefer to do? I'm going to put the link in the chat for you to vote in this, or you can go to join.nearpod.com and enter the code J2XHB. There you go. I just put it in the chat. Boom. Link. There you go. All right, so I'll give you a couple seconds to log on there and vote, and then we're going to play the game. So your choices for next week are the Stonewall Uprising, which is the first Pride, or the Equal Rights Amendment and the Stop Equal Rights Amendment movement. So we have talked about both of those before, but it'll have some new stuff. I'm going to put this in the chat again. Damn, lots of people are on here. Okay, I'll give you guys, I'm going to set a timer for 90 seconds for you to vote in this. So be quick if you want to vote. Timer is starting. There we go. Ooh, it is a close game. You have 1:15 to log in and vote. Again, go to join.nearpod.com and enter the code J2XHB. Can you explain each one? Yes. So Stonewall was a gay bar, and the police came because they hated gay people. And then the gay people were like, fuck the police, and beat the shit out of them. And then the police left. And then all the gay people in the street were celebrating. And that is where Pride Month comes from, is from that. Because it used to be illegal to be gay. So the fact that they like beat the shit out of the police and they were like in the street celebrating, very exciting. The ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment. This is an amendment that would guarantee no gender discrimination. It's like a amendment to our Constitution. It was very popular and people were super into it. And then a bunch of rich white women convinced everyone that if they signed it, women would have to enter the draft and it would be illegal to be a stay-at-home mom. And they just basically made up a bunch of bullshit, but they were super fucking organized. And there was this evil bitch named Phyllis Schlafly who had internalized misogyny and took it out on all of us. So she coordinated the Stop ERA movement, and we never, ever had the ERA passed to this day. Since someone wanted an explanation, I'm going to give you like an extra 30 seconds. It's kind of a win-win. So far, the ERA is winning. Yes, so she had this campaign where she would literally hit up stay-at-home moms and was like, do you like being a stay-at-home mom? And they're like, yeah, it's fucking lit. And then she would be like, well, the government's going to make it illegal. So what you're going to do is you are going to bake a pie and you are going to take it to your representative and you are going to beg them to vote no. And then it worked, which is embarrassing for us. Alrighty, it looks like the ERA is the winner, so we will be talking about the Equal Rights Amendment movement and the Stop ERA movement next week. But for now, let's play the game. Ow, I just kicked my computer. I'm going to go ahead and turn off TikTok so that my iPad does not die. Ooh, which game version do we want to play? I'll let you guys pick. Bye, TikTok. I'm hanging out on Twitch still. Adios. Which game version do you want to play? Space. First one I saw was Space. Haven't seen that one. I like that. And because Oprah is out of this world. So most of you are already logged in, but just in case anyone needs it, I'll put it in the chat again. Join.nearpod.com and the code is J2XHB. It is a 10-question trivia game. It is about Oprah and what we learned about her and her life today. The only prize you get is bragging rights. Also, I just wanted to, again, thank anyone who has donated to our computer fund. If you enjoy these streams and you would like them to get better, please donate to our lovely computer fund via Venmo. The directions are on the screen right there. Thank you to everyone who donated today. I see Holly, I see Melissa. Thank you very, very much. If you have a couple dollars that you don't need, feel free to send it my way for a new computer. And if you don't have a couple of dollars that you don't need, don't worry about it. I'm still very happy that you are here. Yay! Okay, I'm going to count down from 10 for you to join the game. You have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm hitting start. If you didn't join, it'll still let you. I've been attending lecture for over a year and I just found out there's more than 4 characters. Yes, you can swipe right to the characters. Who did we learn about today? I was wondering how that one person had a different character. Did Mr. Responsible change jobs? No. He's responsible. He would never do that. I'm really excited about the tile that I fixed today. I cleaned the grout in my bathroom and I'm really excited about it. I literally just want to go stare at my tile because I'm so proud of myself. I'm so excited to do the kitchen tomorrow. I'll be doing it on TikTok. You did great on the grout. Thank you. That's what I'm here for. It's on Instagram if you would like to see. I know. I'm so excited to do the kitchen because I was going to do the kitchen first, but I was like, let me start with this bathroom because it's like not as big so I can like learn and stuff and it's not as visible. And I did a good job on the bathroom, but I did learn a couple of things and I need to go to Walmart to buy some extra stuff tomorrow, but I'm so excited to do the kitchen because the kitchen is not only huge, it's also way worse than that bathroom was. The kitchen floor is disgusting. So it's going to be an even bigger difference, I feel like. I literally feel like it looks like a different bathroom. How are you liking the Blackstone? I love it. It's just, I think I like need to fix it because it's kind of flaky a little bit and I looked it up and it said I need to like re-season it with the oil. So I really like it, but right now I'm kind of annoyed at it because my stove is broken. So I have to use the Blackstone and just like having to use something is like not the most fun experience in the world. I'm so proud of myself with this game so far, and if I get behind, I'll be so sad. Valid. How do you feel about the possible World War III? Not good. I can tell you that much. I don't really feel great about it. What talk show did Oprah host in 1984? I told you the answer to this one. Could you imagine if Oprah was just nothing until her show and just started there? Well, that would never happen. You have to do stuff before they give you a show, but that would be kind of crazy. What movie was Oprah in 1985? The color purple. Sorry, I'm so out of it right now. We've been here a while. We've been here 2 hours and 12 minutes. Wow. What presidential candidate did Oprah support? I've been clenching my teeth and now they hurt to you all. Dun, 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 dun. Definitely Rudy Giuliani. Absolutely. There was a period of my childhood where every time I woke up in the middle of the night, the color purple was on. A crappy hospital parking lot. What is Oprah's TV channel? Why is everyone getting married? Can everyone please relax? Alrighty, last question. Where is Oprah's school? I need to write down what we picked to talk about next week because I already almost just forgot it. So we gotta write that down. Nope, not 5 a.m. Not working on those at 5 a.m. That's hilarious though. Are you going to see the Barbie movie next weekend? I don't know if I'm seeing it next weekend, but me and my sister are going to go see it together. We just haven't picked a day. We'll have to see like when. We'll probably have to go on a day her husband's not working because I'm assuming she's not going to bring her baby to the Barbie movie, but she can. Alrighty, in first place, we have a Harpo parking lot. Perfect person to get first place. Then we have Caitlin, Emily, Vicky, Wondercats John, A Quick Trip parking lot, your favorite cowboy, Patty, Ashton, Elizabeth Wilson, Amy, AR, Lizard Beth, Ryan, Zuzat, 7, Emma, A Get Go parking lot, Brittany Brown, Nat, and I will scroll through the rest. Oprah's Bread. One thing that Ben Shapiro has never made a woman owe, I blame Ronald Reagan, Misfire Safety, Asparagus Dino Nugget, quarantining in Oprah's guest house, can't think of a better place to quarantine. A winery parking lot, nice job, nice job. So, any memes, any questions, any comments, anything anybody wants to add? What was I about to say? I do not remember. Oh well. I was 37. This is the highest I've been. Go team. Go team. Go team. I love Oprah. Was this more inspirational than it was depressing? That was really my goal here. Also, Wednesday night, taking a break from the world to admire Oprah. Future President Obama on Oprah show, saying a little cynical about politics, not knowing what was to come. I ran over Oprah. Not my full government name. This stream was so much fun. I bet Oprah has the best bathroom toiletries. I know she keeps it stocked. All I know is she hosted a talk show and my dad doesn't like her. Well, your dad should get better taste. That's all I'm going to say. But thank you so much for being here. Come back here. I am streaming every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We will be talking about the Equal Rights Amendment and the Stop ERA movement next class. If you already saw a class where I talked about that, feel free to join again. We'll be talking about some different stuff. I'll add some stuff in. I'll take some stuff out, just how I did last time. And thank you for the grace of letting me repeat topics when I have life things happening. But have a great evening. Oh, someone said French Revolution coverage when. So I do want to say this. I love talking about things, but I'm not a current events girly. Like, my passion is talking about something super in depth from like start to finish, and that's just not the nature of current events. So as important as that is, that's just not my lane of content creation. So maybe later I'll talk about it once it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. We all have our things we like to talk about, and I'm not really a news or current events girl. Me calculating how to be cool as Oprah. Bees. Oh, I know what you're talking about, the bees. Okay, so have a great night, everybody. I will be putting this on YouTube. Peace and love. I will see you next week. Have a lovely evening. Hope everyone eats a good dinner and gets a great night.